Yep.
We've used enough of each other's time. All right. I see Dawn Warrior. I see level 268. Is that still correct, or did you
Yeah,
level?
268, oh, nearly 260 now, hopefully in the next couple days if I have the time, but yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. And you're liking the Dawn Warrior? It's good stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Basically, I won't uh bore you, but basically I'm just kind of like a brain dead player, really. I like grinding and stuff. I love the idea of bossing and all that, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not very technically gifted with the hands, so
I feel
you
that.
know,
Yeah.
I love the idea of like shadowers and that, but it's too technical for me.
Yeah. You give them a
So
try.
Dawn Warrior, yeah, I gave him a try. I've tried it. I've played the game since '07, so I have an idea of what the classes are like. I've been on and off since then, but I've never gotten in depth like I have in like the last
Gotcha.
year. I've pretty much just jumped on and tried to kill mobs and just kind of get up my level without actually having any goals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I rejoined in June or July, and I got off of Reg server, and I went, you know what, I'm just gonna put everything into reboot and really try and understand the
Okay.
game properly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this is me trying to understand it, and even though I've played it for years, I still don't have a freaking clue.
Okay. Well,
So
hopefully we can get you a little bit closer from not having a clue at all to
yeah,
knowing pretty much what you're doing and having a certain goal. I guess that's the first thing is usually to ask people if they have a specific
yeah,
goal in mind. I guess yours is more general and understanding
um,
where you
yeah,
are.
yeah, it's pretty much understanding, and like if I had to say a tangible goal, my tangible goal would be to solo like Lotus,
Okay.
would be to solo hard Lotus, and maybe eventually hard Lucid, like,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would like to do the end game bosses and parties and stuff, but right now
Okay.
I think that because a big issue that I have is obviously from my accent. I live in the UK, but I am in no way born here. I'm Canadian, and my account is on an NA server, but obviously I'm on UK time zone.
Yeah, I was gonna
So when I'm
ask, are you like
yeah,
Canadian living in the UK? Because
yeah,
I could
yeah,
hear I could hear
yeah,
like the Canadian sound, but then also some of the British pronunciation is like slipping into it.
yeah.
But you're North American by birth, I think. Yeah, so I was like,
Yeah, no,
yeah, I was trying to
I've
figure it
lived
out.
yeah, I lived in Canada my whole life, and then I moved for the last 2 years over here, and I have like a
Hmm.
full-time job here, and I teach, and
Yep.
so like I'm staying here for the rest of my life, but I started in
Yep.
Canada, and that hence why I'm on NA servers, which kind of kills me sometimes because
Gotcha.
a lot of the times people are on is usually when I'm asleep.
Yeah, and Downware is also a little bit ping reliant, right? So
Yeah,
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 you
and
noticed that.
where I live, the
Bad internet.
Wi-Fi is absolutely dreadful. Oh
Are you
my
working on
god.
a Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so it's not my house. I live with my partner at the minute,
I
and
see.
her parents, so we share with them, and then hopefully
Mm-hmm.
we're going to move out soon, but at the minute it's their stuff, and obviously they don't play games or anything like that. They just
Yeah.
watch
Oh, okay.
TVs. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Yeah, when I moved back in
So
with my mom, the first thing I did was like I immediately like racked up like max internet capacity on like the
yeah.
first week. So I was like, okay, whatever the upgrade
Oh,
costs, I'll cover the difference
yeah.
for the upgrade
Well,
and
yeah, see, I was gonna do that, and I looked it up, and they don't even have a suitable upgrade in this area, like
yep.
because it's a
Well,
rural area. You know what I
yep.
mean? So
That's a
it's like,
short
oh,
plan.
yeah. So it's like, okay.
Yep, this is what you
So
get.
dealing with what I got.
I see. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when you're moving, you're like fiber internet, fastest,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever you
That
can
I've
get.
made that very clear to my partner that I will pay for it, but that is what I am doing. And she said,
Yeah,
yeah, all right. So
that sounds
got the
good.
big thumbs up.
All right, all right. Um, so the goal, yes, solo hard. You said hard lotus and then hard lucid if possible, and then like
Yeah,
whichever
yeah.
comes after that, possibly, right?
Basically, yeah. I like obviously I haven't done Black Mage or anything yet. I've done up to in a party. I've done up to Dark Knell.
Okay, normal or the
So
hard one?
hard.
Hard. Okay. How
So
was that?
in a
Hard Dark Now is a interesting boss fight,
It's
right?
difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's definitely pushing my ability as a player on this game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it took me a while to learn Will. Like it took me a while to learn Will, and I still suck at Chaos Gloom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not great. But the recent gains that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks have helped a lot, obviously.
Yeah, cube seal and shining
Yeah,
and leveling
yeah,
up and six job, all of it
yeah.
combined is
So all of
probably
it
quite a bit of
combined is
damage.
like, yeah. So it's been nice. It's been
Mm-hmm.
nice. But I definitely don't feel confident in Dark Knell, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like if I have anything short of a perfect run, I am in trouble.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
it's something like that basically. Yeah. So that's currently where I am right now. But
So
I
party
can
party up to
comfortably
hard dark now, and then solo up to
a
where?
solo. I honestly haven't tried doing hard Lotus or hard Damien yet.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try it next week. I could do like up to slime solo.
Yeah, normal
Normal,
slime
yeah.
solo. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
and like
And like it
normal lucid. Have you tried that solo? Or
no, I haven't to be honest,
okay.
but I feel like I could especially with um like cuz normal slime even like I go through it pretty quickly. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I
Before
could
tests,
do
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I could do I think I could do normal lucid for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
but
then
and
you
then
lose your clear for hard, of course. So you wanna,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, not do
So
not
then
do that.
yeah, so I have a buddy of mine who runs on a 285 bishops, so he kind of helps me with that. But we do it relatively like very quickly, so
Right.
it's all right.
Wait, which boss you do with the bishop?
Lucid and Will.
Right, a hard lucid and a hard will.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. And what's your time allocation looking like? Like how much time do you have to play, or do you want to play?
Oof.
I guess.
Well, that's kind of one of my issues. So I probably have the most time between Tuesday and Thursday.
Hmm.
Um, that's where I get a majority of my time in.
So Wednesday.
I do.
That's between Tuesday and Thursday, right? No,
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
kidding.
it's literally
Yeah.
it's literally Tuesday,
from
Wednesday,
from Tuesday.
Thursday. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty
Gotcha.
much
Gotcha.
that's pretty much me.
Sorry, bad joke. Yeah. Continue.
Monday. No, no, no. No, no. I hear you. I'm even trying to piece it together in my head because I'm
Yeah.
realizing
Okay.
how much time I don't have in this game.
Hmm.
But yeah, Mondays I have like maybe enough to do dailies.
Hmm.
Tuesdays I have for anywhere between like I came home, I made a lesson that like for my kids, and then basically I've been on the game. Like right now, it's up in the background.
Hmm.
And again I have to do like dailies, and that's pretty much it. I just finished the Erda's request one. Um,
Nice. Yeah. That's
so
that's a
besides
very valuable one.
yeah, so besides that really, um, and then on Mondays after the dailies I usually log off, like do my Monster Park, do all that.
Hmm.
Um, and then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays I can train a little bit. I have until about 10:30 ish my time.
Hmm.
So
Like evenings. So like
yeah, yeah. So
so
so I get
4.
I get home at like 5, and then I have
Hmm.
until like 10:30 ish.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have any outstanding work, I try to get it done all before.
Yeah. I know
Um,
teachers have a lot of extra stuff to do all the
yeah,
time. Prep and
yeah,
marking stuff and
yeah. So I try to do it
grading.
all on my off time and stuff.
Hmm.
So
Wait, do you say
because
grading or marking?
for me, it's marking in
Okay.
this country. It's marking I've had to
Yeah.
learn. Yeah. So
You came in. Okay, what do we do with the grading? Sorry, we do marking, marking.
I've had to change quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's quite amusing because I teach in Northern England, and it's very funny when they hear my accent and they want me to say things like water and uh,
Oh yeah. Water.
trash, and they
Yeah.
yeah, and they all say things like out of video games and stuff. Like they hear
Mm-hmm.
like memes, like
Yeah.
"Oh,
Okay.
dude, you're trash." So all that stuff. It's quite amusing, but
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Set your time available. So no weekends mostly.
Um,
Weekends are full.
Friday, Friday again, dailies usually.
Mm-hmm.
If I have extra time, it would be like late at night my time. I don't sleep very well, so I usually go from like 12 to 2 a.m. if
Mm-hmm.
my body is in that mode because I have nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to take melatonin, it doesn't really help, so I just play video games until my eyes get heavy and then I pass out.
Yeah. Little night owl
Um,
action.
Yeah, basically. And then and then Saturdays are pretty much a write-off. Saturdays are
Mm-hmm.
pretty much a write-off. And then Sundays I hop on for Sunny Sunday and dailies.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I try to log on Saturdays just to get like the dentist
Yeah.
daily login, and then pretty much just hop off because I don't have the
Okay.
time.
Gotcha. Okay. And when it comes to what was the other thing I was going to ask? Oh, yeah. When it comes to like my stuff, my stream and everything, what have you like
Yeah.
seen and used so far?
Um, I usually just I like to chime in because you're probably one of the most helpful people I've ever seen. Something I've realized about this community is you get a small handful of very helpful people. Like I see in the chat now people that are saying like how they could fix the Wi-Fi problem and stuff, which is,
Mm-hmm.
like super nice. But then I've also found in my experience that people treat this game with a level of snobbiness. So asking questions is almost frowned upon in my experience.
Yeah, it'll depend
Um,
very heavily on which one it is, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
and who
that's
you're
so
asking.
that's
Yeah.
my yeah, so um that's my experience with it. So like one of the reasons I decided to do this is because you seem very nice and you seem very helpful to people that have done the gear progressions and stuff, and I've watched them uh quite for quite a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
I figure I put my faith in you, someone that I've watched, rather than um, trying to ask random people in like a guild or something and being
Mm-hmm.
told that you're like an idiot or this, that, and the other. You know what I mean?
But wait,
So,
within your guild that happens, or in your alliance,
in
or?
in my experience, I've witnessed people and myself in past, like especially on Reg server, being belittled,
Mm.
or um, or just like the tone in which it is said is like what like you didn't know that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right? Or like they
Yeah.
send like the
Doesn't
the
feel good.
Pepe face, you know what I mean? And it's just like I'm just trying to learn this game. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I haven't like I don't have the time to put into it to learn it like I'm
Mm-hmm.
studying a degree here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I still
So
learn new stuff every day as well. And then when you finally figure something out, then some new
yeah,
update comes out, or Korea comes out with a nice new patch, and then it's
yeah,
all going to change in the future again. And yeah,
yeah,
it definitely there's a huge learning curve in the beginning. And once you get most of the stuff down, then you can kind of keep up with the changes. But to
yeah.
get there, that takes some effort. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some stuff I still don't get. Like I'm not gonna lie, I did the familiar thing just on a YouTube video, but I don't have a clue what I'm doing with the familiars, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The familiars still get me. I don't even know. Like I just kind of saved them and then put them together, and then I just did what the YouTube video told me to do. Eventually,
Yep.
and eventually luck had it where this happened. But realistically, I don't really know like what 100% I'm doing. With
Mm-hmm.
Legion, I get it. I get Legion because Legion's been around for a while. So
So
like
have you seen some of the sessions? Have you seen some of my commands
yeah,
as well? Have you used those?
I've seen some of the stuff like that. I've like for example some of like you see that purple node there, that special node that's in my vmatrix. I imagine
Purple
people know what
special.
that is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that like I just learned what that was like the other day, but so many people have it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's something that like I've been trying to figure out like what is this thing where everybody hits their attack key and this V shows up above their
Yeah,
head.
yeah. That's
You know
every
what I mean?
time
Like
a
like I
special node
had
activates.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what that was until like I saw a video and someone was talking about it. I'm like, holy crap, that's what it is.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's like one of those side things. It's not super important, but a lot of people are just
yeah,
like, "I see that V. What is that V?" Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely a common question.
yeah.
So, is there
So
any topic you've gone? Well, we could maybe start with familiars and maybe run that down a little bit.
yeah.
But any topics that you've been working on where you're like, I
Ooh.
kind of know what I'm doing, but not really. I guess we could talk about
Um,
familiars first, since you did
I
mention it.
really don't know. I really don't know. Basically, I feel like I'm almost 269, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm at this point. If I don't know, because of the limited amount of time I have, I feel like I might hit a wall where
Mm-hmm.
I can't achieve what I want to achieve. So
It's possible.
if I
The game has changed in aspect quite a bit with the latest update, in the sense that you really had to grind for your EXP. Like you had to do long
yeah,
grinding sessions over a long period of time to be able to, to
yeah.
get your damage through leveling and everything. And the
Mm,
game is becoming now a lot more casual friendly, in the sense where if you just have like a half an hour to an hour a day and that's it and no more,
Yeah.
then you can still see over like weeks and months very good progress. With the special daily that we got for 6 job, of course,
Yeah.
but also with the extra EXP that they added on to the dailies for symbols and the weeklies for symbols, and
Yeah.
the EXP that they took away from total EXP needed. So the people who are trying to like really grind hard and get a lot of levels, for them this is like a huge downer.
Yeah.
But for the people who don't really have that much time to play and we're already like barely leveling, it's actually probably going to be somewhat of an increase in terms of leveling speed if you have a
Right. Okay.
less regular, or well, regular but not. Yeah, some people say regular, they mean a lot, but like
Yeah.
often, but not necessarily a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, and then another thing is like I feel like for my level,
Mm-hmm.
I I do not know how to effectively utilize mules. Like I only
Okay.
have my Night Lord, who I'm burning to 260 currently.
Mm-hmm.
And then besides that, I have like a Wind Archer at 210, a Hero at 210. Um, but then everything else is like 200. I'm not sure. I don't know what an effective level is for a mule. I don't really know what I'm aiming for on mules. I kind of just feel like I'm logging in on them and trying to level them up, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
really know what milestone they need to get to, if that makes sense.
Sure. So,
Um,
well, I think you kind of do, or at least you've read somewhere what it is, because
yeah,
you've got a lot of 140s and a lot of 200s,
yeah,
and
yeah,
those are milestones, right?
yeah,
Mainly for the Legion block size. So you go from the
yeah,
S to the double S with that. So their main value for mules, there's a bunch of values that it could be. Some people just in leveling mules find a character that they really like, and that gives them like a secondary character that they can work on.
yeah.
For
It's my
some
Night Lord.
people, it's yeah. Well, so for some people, it's just purely functional, and it's really just I just want to wait. I was just zoomed in. Why does it not do it anymore? Okay, now it won't do the thing that I just had. Can I just watch it as a post?
As like a
Okay,
slideshow type thing.
yeah, I thought that would be possible, but I'll just open it in a different tab. So, if it's purely functional, then if it has a really good double S block, then 200
Yeah.
is like a milestone to just dump it and leave it. If you don't,
Okay.
I would always get 5th job on it just so you can play around with it a little bit and see if it's
Yeah.
something that you could see yourself playing. If it's
Yeah.
not, then that's totally fine. If it is, then maybe put a put a pin in it somewhere and remember that.
Yeah.
And then some characters have really good level 3 link skills, so their 210 is a good milestone. So for that, I have the links command, which you've probably seen, with like the links and the legions of all the characters.
Yeah.
And then you could use that to kind of see like, do you want to get to level 3, or like do you want to get to 210, or is
Yeah.
200 eventually good enough? And then the overarching things that are really good about alts, not specifically about alts, but just about Legion, is of course that you
Mm.
access being able to put more characters on the board, which gives you more passives, and then the passives of the character themselves, the member bonuses, and then of course the more Legion raid power you gain with the characters that are on the board, and the more coin generation you get.
Yeah, I was trying to I do want to aim for I have it in reg server and I do want to get AK Legion
Mm-hmm.
eventually.
Yeah.
I only started playing in June and July, so I feel like almost 7K is, I feel pretty good with that number at the minute.
Yeah, it's massive. I think. Yeah.
So I've been trying to um I've been trying to really I want to use this event now with the potions
Mm-hmm.
from the event, and I'm just gonna I want to throw them on characters that I could see myself possibly playing in the future. I did that with my Zero. I'm kind of bummed I didn't get my Zero to 200 before the burning, because I kind of wanted to do my Zero, but I
Mm-hmm.
figured the Night Lord's fine. So maybe for the next one, I would do the Zero, or again possibly the Buck. I don't know. I know Hero is one of those classes where you just kind of swing a sword or axe or whatever, so it's just
Yeah.
very one button type thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I really like the idea of a bishop, but the amount of buffs, it looks bananas.
The amount of
Um,
teleporting and
yeah, It looks
Support. Yeah, well,
bananas.
so supporting more in boss fights. So that's got to be something that you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I'm just all damage really. So
Hmm.
I just like clicking buttons and seeing big numbers. Um,
Yeah, and for bishop, you also want like the other thing is that they scale very well off of buff duration, right? So the inner
yeah,
ability is going to be a bit
yeah,
more taxing.
yeah.
And then also possibly your Legion build, all the way up to getting although the IED is not nearly as important for Bishop, right? Because you have a lot of debuffs, and you
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
don't need critical rate, so you can go full critical damage, buff duration, and boss damage for when you're bossing on the Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that
And then the
is
last,
not the worst, yeah.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
and sorry, the last one I was looking at was I've talked about Shadower and how I feel inept to play that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play Kaiser possibly, but it just feels too clunky right now. The state of it just feels too clunky to me personally,
Yeah, also
and I
buff
don't know
duration
why.
there will allow you to stay transformed a lot longer.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
gives you more uptime on all the cool skills. But yeah, I don't know. I was just doing it in the food storage, and to try to get some levels on there.
Mm.
Are you using that weekly?
Yeah, I am at the minute with the zero. It's level 184. Again,
Yeah.
trying to aim for like that 200.
Mm-hmm.
So that I could use the potions on I think like um I was gonna go for Demon Avenger or even because I've already had my Demon Slayer, so I was gonna go for the Demon Avenger or possibly a Luminous. Um, these are just classes that I know that I played in Reg server that I had all at 200 who were
Mm-hmm.
like I love to grind with because relatively they're easy grinders. The Demon Avenger is a little bit different. The Demon Avenger is because um, one of my buddies kind of convinced me to give one a go because his looks unreal. But you know when you're looking at a 285 Demon Avenger, it's very different to a 141. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's a yeah.
So, so yeah. Um, but yeah, and then in terms of like actual mules, like right now
Yeah, so I put
I
every
can
character kind of like in a box, right? If you're looking at the character,
yeah
if it's like, okay, this one is just, this one is going to 200 for a nice member bonus,
yeah
and then you try the fifth job. Is it not what you want? Then it's just,
yeah
just write it off. If it's something that's a potential, then you put it on like the short list essentially.
yeah
If it's
yeah
something that you want to get to 210, then usually, people use like potion selector stuff for that if they don't want to train it. Sometimes
yeah
maybe get it up to 206 or something with the with event exp. So that would be with the event coupons,
okay
the exp tickets, like those things.
yeah yeah
Or with the something like the food storehouse, right? Something like that to get it up to like 206, and then the level selectors.
yeah
The one where you pick like 1, 2, 4, 8.
yeah 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 yeah
Then typically people pick like 8 of those, and then you can get 206s to 210 very quickly to get those level 3 link skills locked out. Because you have some that are like already 200, and you got some 210s. But there's
yeah
some, I think, that are before I have this many 200s, I would keep like actively working on 210s as well. So like the level 3 links, right? So you've got,
okay.
I don't think you have Arc yet, right?
No, I think I have Arc as a 140.
Mm-hmm. So like
I
Arc,
know.
DA, Evan,
Yeah,
and then Mercedes, Phantom. Like these are basically like the ones that
yeah,
you want to get towards 210 earlier on, because they will just help all the other characters if you're not purely doing potions, but if you're also training a little bit, it'll just help the characters level up a lot faster as
yeah,
well, and then you won't have to just be reliant on events for that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fair enough.
So those are the
Cause
solid ones.
yeah, I was just
And
looking at. Sorry, I was just looking at yeah, cause I want to do my Mercedes is sitting at 190, and to be fair, it's been there for a while, so I should probably. Yeah, that's a good
yeah, it's a
point.
good one to just
So
get up there to 210 so that
yeah,
everything else just goes a little bit faster. Yeah.
write that down. 210. Okay, there we go.
And if you're looking
All right.
at having them like as well, alt is like a bigger thing, right? Like the Night Lord, but just as a bossing mule
Mm,
would be one step above that. That would be like, okay, you're trying out the fifth, you actually like it, and you're like, okay, this is something I could see myself bossing on.
yeah.
Then I would usually just kind of like slowly fund just one at a time and just kind of see where
Okay.
that gets you, see how much of a time commitment that is. Because as soon
Okay.
as you invest into it, you're going to feel like every week you have to do that to, make your money back, right? And if you make a
Right.
bunch
Okay.
of them, and you're going to spread yourself pretty thin, and then if you don't have that much time in a week, it's going to feel bad. It's going to be in the back of your head like, oh no, I missed out on all of that money.
Right.
So to avoid
Okay.
that, I usually just go like pretty organically, just one at a time, and it's like, okay, this fits in my weekly schedule. This is something I have time for. Ideally, you want
Okay.
to aim for just trying to do as many bosses as you can, like within half an hour, so that you can use half-hour buffs to fully close that off. So usually the advice I give is try to get, so this goes into familiars a little bit, but try to get 2 familiars with 15% IED. It's usually very
Yeah.
cheap, very early on, but IED is typically very short on a lot of characters, so that'll give you a lot of damage output on bossing very quickly. The
Yeah.
other one is see if you can get access to a guild that has like at least 2 skills max, so you can get a bunch of extra damage when you're doing your weekly bosses on there. So that's also like free funding. And if you're going to go towards, if you're going to make a boss meal, so there's usually like 3, well, there's probably like 4 or 5 levels, but like the lowest 3 levels is usually just doing like 4-door and like HMAC. That's like, and then you can do the ones below that, so like Hard Hilla and Normal Sickness, those, right?
Yeah.
That's usually like the first group, so that's usually the boss character like around level 210 to 215. You could probably start doing those if you have enough funding on it. Otherwise, you need a bit more levels. And then the next group is to add like Chaos Papulatus and Akechi to that, because those are definitely like a size bigger.
Yeah.
So that's usually about like an extra 5 to 10 levels. And then the group after that would be to add Lotus and Damien to that. So that's usually around 230, 235 for the bossing meals. So those are
Okay.
like different, yeah, those are like different milestones, different levels of funding that I would think you would need. But
Okay.
ideally, you'd always try to see just what you can do like within that half hour, just so you get extra value from all of those buffs and G skills and all of that. So I usually start with the lower funding. I start lower on nodes, and you just look at which resources you have the most of, and then you fund them the most with that, and then the least with what you have the least of, right? So someone who has
Yeah.
2,000 nodes lying around but only has 5 bill, you probably want to go heavier on the node to fund a character than to
Yeah.
throw your money on there, because your money is worth more.
Okay.
So that's usually how I go about it.
I have invested quite a bit in the Night Lord. Like it's
Mm-hmm,
like I have the full CRA. The weapon is 17. Everything
mm-hmm.
else is like 12 and like unique or legendary potential.
Okay.
So I am trying to put, and I think I invested like I think 1,500 nodes or something like that into it. So I've gotten all the skills, all the skill nodes up to 25. And now it's just getting the bossing skills and all that up and all that.
You
So
did the
like I
boost
have.
nodes or the
Ooh, wait, hold on. My terminology is atrocious. Hold on.
so boost nodes are
What
like
is
the
it
gray ones
called?
that boost the lower level
Yeah, that's the
skills.
one. The boost ones. Sorry, the boost ones are the ones that I
Mm-hmm.
got up to 25.
Yep.
So those are all 25, and then the other
Skill
ones,
nodes.
yeah, all the skill nodes. Those are the ones that need to be upped
Yep.
eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like to
So
look at like when you're funding the character, not necessarily in. So it's a bunch of systems, it's a bunch of forms of damage that are all moving at the same time.
yeah,
So usually what I try to do is I try to get everything to the same percentage of efficiency within their system, and never to individually max anything out, because as soon as you max anything out, you're going to lose efficiency if you want to go over that, and you've probably already dipped into where it's a little bit less efficient, right? So if you're like upgrading a CRA piece, for example, you're not going to get 22 stars and then rare potential, right?
yeah.
Because both come from Mezzo, so that's easier to compare to each other. But if you're looking
Okay.
at nodes and you're looking at star forcing, for example, there's also a balance between that, even though it's more indirect, because it's both reducible to time, but one is reducible to time through drop rate through nodes, and the other one is time through killing things through Mezzo and crystals, and then right. So
Yeah.
it looks like it's 2 completely different currencies, but it is traceable back onto the same currency, all back to time essentially. What did I click? Professions. That's not what I wanted to do. Progression. So you've probably seen this one as well, right? That's a progression grid. That's
Yeah.
where I try to like keep the balance. Now, of course, for the
Yeah.
lower level characters, there might have to be a little bit more of a breakdown now, because this is essentially for your main character. But of course, if you're doing like a side character or a bossing mule, there's more of a breakdown way before getting to 260, because most bossing mules for most people are never going to see that level.
Mm.
That'll always be considered probably an alt for most people. But that's kind of like that balance between those stats that I'm talking about. So even at 260, I don't expect people to have like fully max boost nodes and fully max skill nodes.
Yeah.
Because Because I feel like if you have done that, it's possible with events, right? You get a lot of free stuff that you
Yeah.
can go
Yeah.
faster there. But if you do that and if you go hard on doing that, you're also taking some nodes away from another character that could be a bossing mule who, the last 200 nodes on a character that's almost maxed out are way less valuable for your entire account in terms of income than the first
Yeah.
200 nodes on a completely new character, right?
Yeah.
They might just double their damage from that, while your other existing character maybe gains like 2 or 3% final damage from that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the relative value for the entire account. If you're talking specifically now about like alt characters and how to kind of like divide your funding. So
Okay.
if you're starting off with like a mule and you're doing like that first echelon, just like the 3-door and the and HMAG, like that blob of
Yeah.
bosses.
Yeah.
So that should very easily be doable. Like if you're 215 to 220 and you know the mechanics of the bosses. Yeah, usually I only use like maybe like 100 to 200 nodes for that. That's probably good enough.
Okay.
And then because I feel like it should be kind of a slow process that you build up, and only if you find like you have enough time, it gives you
Yeah.
a lot of days, a lot of weeks to get resources other than just meso. Because a lot of people look at like income from boss mules, just like sell the crystals for this amount, but
Yeah.
you earn a lot of flames, you earn a lot of cubes, you earn a lot of backups, which is also money, right? Which is also resources for the character. And over time, as that builds up and an event comes around, you can be like, okay, this character, you can do like half an hour. I do all my bosses. I've got like 10 minutes left. I can probably do the next boss. You do the next boss. Okay, now it's like 35 minutes. Okay, so maybe I upgrade a little bit. I can squeeze it back into 30 minutes. And as you get that experience with more characters, you'll feel that certain characters don't need that much funding at all, and they can easily do all the bosses. And then certain other ones, they might need a little bit more help, right? And then you basically just give to each as they need, and you take from each as they can give, essentially. But I would just slowly build it up and not, make like 4 or 5 at the same time. First of all, that's going to take a lot of time away from your main, and then that might cut into your dailies and your gains on your main, which you don't want to do. Because again, the relative value of the daily on a main is insane, of course. And at the other point, now you add a whole lot of load onto your weekly schedule, and then it's going to feel bad if you can't really follow up on that. So I would just do one at a time.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I am very much I am very much the type of person who wants to do everything all in one time. So yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I heard that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love like it is a problem obviously. I do it even at work. It's like I want to do everything all at once, but obviously I stretch myself too thin. So
yeah,
I completely see where you're coming from with that. So yeah, so then I'll just focus on. I mean, it sounds like I should have enough time if I did. See, oh, actually, you know what? I can ask you because you would know. So at the minute, I don't have the Monster Park medal for my main.
Yeah.
Should I
7-day
prioritize that than doing it on my my
like on characters
my
for
Night
EXP,
Lord?
you mean? Well,
Yeah,
so
like
there's
my
multi-purpose, right? So there's just running it for the clear to get the medal. There's
Yeah.
just running it to make sure you get the boxes, I guess, essentially. And there's running it to EXP to like boost your character.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get the Night Lord as close to 260 as possible before the end of the event, I think it's totally fine to just run it daily on the Night Lord now to give it that extra supplementary EXP, because that is quite nice. And compared to grinding, because of the changes, it's actually quite good.
Yeah.
I would eventually, whatever character you're going to main and side character, eventually hopefully work towards medal for them.
Yeah.
So, whether the Night Lord gets it right before the Dawnward or vice versa, it's not a huge difference because it is a 10% IED, right? Like it's technically, this is why it's, I feel like it's always very dangerous when people throw around the term best in slot, because there's a whole bunch of stuff implied with that.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at one of your shorts today that was talking about that. One of your YouTube shorts that was mentioning that.
Yeah, so because best in slot, like it
Yeah.
rarely talks about how much better it is than whatever would be the second best in slot, right? Which that is the most important thing, because if it's 0.01% better, but it takes 1,000 times the hours for 99.9% of people, it just wouldn't be worth going for whatsoever. So that context is super important for items. And with the medal, it's kind of like that, where there's a bunch of other medals basically most medals just don't do anything. They're like all pretty shit. And then the
Yeah, fair
Monster
enough.
Parker is like the least shit one. That's
Yeah,
essentially
basically. Okay, fair enough.
that's essentially it. So if you use it mainly for EXP for a long time, that's totally fine. I'm obviously like past that point for my strongest characters. I've got like
Yeah,
23 characters now, I think, that have it. So which is
yeah.
way too much. So I like, oh, I want to level a character. I want to hyperburn. I want to take some pressure off of that. I use it for daily there. Once that's up to 260, oh, it's going to be high level bossing mule. Okay, it's probably should be next in line to get the medal anyway, so I'll finish it up there, and then I'll just go to whatever other character I was working on. Maybe after that you figure out you work on it on your main. Maybe your bossing mule needs a few more levels, and you use it on your bossing mule for a while, together with symbol dailies, together with some event EXP or something. Get it up to 215, up to 220, up to 225 maybe,
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay, now it's at a level where I want it. Do I want to keep it for clears, or do I go for level / clears on the main until that one has it, and then you go back to a bossing mule, for example?
Okay.
Yeah, use it flexibly like that.
Okay, that's fair. All right. That actually makes a lot of sense, to be fair. I just didn't know if it was. I guess I did get caught up in the whole best in slot thing, because
Mm-hmm.
everybody, like, even in my guild, or even like friends that I have that prioritize, like, you need to get this medal, and I'm like, all right, but
Mm-hmm.
running it 77 times every day, like, it's supposed to be for every day, like, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
hard. So, and then
Yeah,
yeah,
you'll get it
I want to make
eventually. It's
sure.
just good to have it as to know about it and to have it
Yeah,
as like a long-term plan. As long as you
yeah,
don't
yeah,
lose
yeah.
sight of it, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, I just want to make sure that I finish. I want to make sure that I finish getting this Night Lord to 260. I don't even know when the event ends for. Like, when does the burning end for it? Do you know? Well, of course you do, but
Yeah, so
I
they
mean,
did a weird thing with the last. Usually it's just the event block, and then at the end of the event block, it's just done. So like the hyper burning here, it says that it's just going to end on February 6th.
yeah,
But
okay,
the last one, and I think the last one was an exception, right? The last hyperburn was up to 250, but I think that was an exception because they knew that Sixth Job was coming out, and they wanted to get people give them as much
yeah,
time and get them as close as possible
yeah,
to
because they did all the way
260.
till November, didn't they?
Yeah, and not only for the people who made the burning during the event, but they extended the creation of the hyperburns all the way past the event as well, and left it all the
Oh,
way up
okay,
to November,
yeah,
up to November 15th, yeah, or November 14th probably, yeah. But this
gotcha.
one looks like it's going to end on the 6th, so let's keep that as a as an end point for now. And if
Yeah,
they extend it later, then come what may. But yeah, that's still 2 full months.
yeah,
So, and you're living 3 times at a time, right? So you only need
yeah.
you're 38. Oh, you're gonna end up at 259. You're gonna have to level 8 more
That's fine.
times.
I
Yeah,
don't mind. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's fine. I think I did my. Actually, let me check. Yeah, okay, I've done my 7 times today. So realistically, after, because currently it's at 81%. So realistically, by tonight it should be 241, right?
Mm-hmm.
Math.
Yeah. So what I do for my hyperburn is I do symbol dailies. I
Yeah.
do Monster Park, and and I have like the setup for mobbing bossing setup, right? We might need to go into that a
Mm.
little bit, but if you like split setups, then you make sure that you get a bit more efficiency out of all of the time. But I'm getting probably like around, well, now I'm at 252, so I'm getting about 20% a day. But the way I'm looking at it, okay, so that's just like 4 or 5 more days, and then did you get the magnificent growth potions as well
For
for
which?
the
Sorry.
journey to the 6th star? There was like the
Yeah, but I
login
used
event.
it. Yeah, I used it on my main. I had no, because I had no idea that you could use it on a burning
Yeah,
character.
you shouldn't be able to use them. They messed up and
Yeah.
they left it
So
in. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
realized that that was the case way later, and I don't
Hmm.
save things, which I probably should, but I have a terrible problem with saving things, so I
There's
just
two
went,
things
okay, I'll
there.
just use
You
it on
can
thing.
you can definitely save too much. That's definitely a thing. And then while the what is the saying again? One often meets their destiny on the path one takes to avoid
Mm,
it, kind of thing, right? Like
yeah,
or what's the other ones, like memories are the things that happen while you're waiting for things to happen or something.
yeah,
Um, there's definitely some good some good reasons to use things, but a lot of MapleStory is also like, hey, this thing, you can wait a month to pick this up, and then you get a coupon, and then that lasts another week, and then you get an
yeah,
item, and that lasts another 2 weeks, and once you get into that level, that's definitely, you might need your own spreadsheet, and that can take up a lot of brain space. And if you don't want to deal with that, and you just want to be like, I'm just going to slam it and make sure that I don't, let it go. Because sometimes people are like, I'm going to use this last minute, and then they forget about it, and then you have to make a ticket, hope you get it back. And I've seen people, lose like VACPED boxes because they wanted to use it on the last day, and then something happened to their internet, or something came up on the last day, and they couldn't log in, and they lost their item.
Yeah, that's
That's
to me
also
that's wild.
far from ideal. So
Yeah,
yeah, there's pros and cons, but there's definitely some middle ground. No, I was just checking. Yeah, so you do want to get all those levels in, but as long as so I'm a huge fan of just like slow and steady for those things.
yeah,
And then once you feel like, okay, it's like the last 3 weeks, this is looking like I'm not going to be able to make it, then you can always just, amp it up a little bit, take some time away from your main. But if you can consistently put some time into it, you can put Monster Park symbol dailies in there, you'll make a lot of gains from the stat from the dailies, right? The EXP from the dailies is a lot, all added up together. And then symbol weeklies as well, of course, when I have access to it. And then once you get to 240... no, not once you get to 240, but once you get to 245, you'll also get the Moonbridge daily, which is a lot extra per day, and then 250 you get the Labyrinth daily, so it keeps up the percentage a day quite nicely. Yeah, and then Limina for the last levels. And then there is the potential, because there are level up potions right now in the Identisk exploration as well, right? It is possible that those also work, even though just like the other ones, they say that they won't work, because I think it's a problem with the coding of the burn character itself, not of the potions that you can use on it, I think. So it is possible that these that you get like next week and then in 3 weeks, it is possible that those start working past 250 as well. I can't guarantee that, of course.
yeah. I mean, I'll give it a try. Might as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to be. You probably have to be past 250 to use those. And then, but if they work, or if you hear from other people that they work, depending on where you're going to end, you might want to use them later or earlier, right? Or if you use them right, so it gives you a level, then that might be better if it's near the end of the event. But I think you can probably get it pretty close to 260. It goes faster than you think, because 3 level ups and you're 247 already. It's like, oh
yeah.
Because 3 at a time, it sneaks up on you, kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, because I think I started the character at like 2. Well, I kind of did a dumb thing, to be honest, because I started the character like midway through, and I didn't know that I didn't know you couldn't claim the burning.
Oh yeah, for the rewards that you already did. Yeah.
So I missed out on like the burning ring and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, I forgot, because I would have like burned a hero or something, like something else that I enjoy to play, right? But Night Lord kind of has a soft spot in my heart, so that's why I went with it. But, it was all the way back in the day of original, like back when the game was still, you had to do the curing PQ.
Oh yeah.
That was my first class, so like I was like, oh, I'll finally get
10% overall dex.
Oh yeah.
Use on sauna robes.
Yeah, that's like
Dexless.
I never got one. I never got one high enough to enjoy. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. But I've obviously missed out on. Just looking at it now, I've missed out on 200, 210, 215, 220. So yeah.
And in the beginning, that's going to be a hefty price, but once your whole account is more established, 200 symbols, for example, if you got that like 2 years ago, that was insane. But if you get 200 symbols now, that's kind of a joke, right? Because even just like all the areas, just one day is 120. So it's not even 2 days worth, right? Sometimes people are like prepping their hyperburn for the next event already, and it's like, guys, it's 6 months from now. If you just play it now and you do your dailies for a week in 6 months, and that's it, you get more symbols than you're gonna be getting from the entire hyperburn event all put together, right? Because you add the weeklies another time to that, so that's 65 plus 600, so 65 times 7, so 450. So that's like 550 symbols. But it's harder to see how much it all piles up to if you do like a little bit every day versus if you just see it in one giant pile. It's harder to distinguish those two for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely talking, but we're already like almost halfway through the time, so I want to make sure we get through everything that you need to be able to know.
Yep.
So did you have topics written down or
Um,
questions written down that we definitely need to get to?
um, I think the only thing that I need. So as you can tell, I'm kind of erratic and I'm kind of all over the place because of my job and everything, and just
Yeah.
like the way that I play video games. I like things to do, right? But it also makes me very erratic.
Hmm.
So my thing is there any gear that I need to prioritize, or is there anything that you would recommend, any goals that you could recommend? Because obviously I have my overall goal of being able to do those bosses, but basically
Hmm.
the goals that I need to achieve them in chronological order, essentially.
Yeah, so I'd like to go over like the systems, make sure you have like base understanding, and that for every system we set like kind of like a goal, and then
Yeah, go
equip
for it.
and gears. I like to do that last as kind of like
Yep,
finishing touch on top of everything,
yep.
and then I can make sure that everything else already makes sense, and then usually what to do with gear kind of flows from that more naturally. Even though for most
Okay.
people, understandably, that's like the first question. But if you don't exactly understand like where IED comes from, how that calculates, and how important critical rate is, and how critical damage functions,
Yeah, yeah.
like if those numbers aren't clear, then you can throw all of your money and all of your time into star
Yeah.
forcing and into potentialing, but you'll only get a percentage efficiency off of that. That is just going to be so much lower that you're just gonna that's just going to take up so much of your time. And even though it might be like boring number stuff, but you played a
No, no.
non-reboot
Uh,
before, right? So.
yes, I played in non-reboot for a very, very long time, and
Hmm.
then yeah, it's just honestly, it was the fact of it was the whole like I just wanted to do like the whole not pay to win thing, really.
Yeah. No, I get
I
that.
just I kind of just wanted to be able to play and not have to worry if I didn't want to do that. So
So
yeah,
okay, so for familiars, because you're gonna get
yeah,
familiars from your Night Lord, but they might be a bunch of different ones, right? What are you? What do you
yeah.
understand about familiars, and what's your plan with them
I
at the
saved
moment?
a bunch. I saved a bunch from
Yes,
Limina in
yeah,
my
I saw that.
thing.
Hmm.
So I got like a 15% one that's already on my Night Lord, but I have to get the badges to do like to unlock all the slots and stuff.
Yeah, so for badges, I
I
have a
just
little resource for that where you can see which one are easier and which one are
Okay.
harder to
Yeah,
do.
that would be super ideal because I just kind of did
Yep.
them on my on my other one.
Yeah, here I put it
Um.
in the chat. This is called exclamation mark familiars. It's got like a bunch of the info. So
Oh, here we
basically,
go. Okay.
it goes through all the numbers, just all the more boring stuff. But if you ever need to check up on anything, you've got all the rates and all the percentages and all the values and all that stuff just in one place. If you ever need to double check something,
Gotcha.
and then it's got like all of the max buffs for or the types of buffs from the badges and the cost. Wait, does this not have the stacking? Because these stats also stack like HP stacks up to a total of 10 or something.
Yeah.
It's like kind of ridiculous. Oh yeah, no, this is a stacking. Yeah, so the IED stacks up to 15% in total. Critical rate up to 3%, damage up to 3%, weapon attack up to 3%. So you don't like double stack on badges. If you do select more badges, and they
Yeah.
would overlap, then they give you a red buff instead here.
I think mine actually do that on one of them. I think it's the attack one. Hold on, let me just double check. Yeah, it's attack +2. Oh, and it's all stats +1.
Yeah, because they like attack is capped at 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all
So,
stat at 1%. Yeah, so if you have anything over, but if you do have multiple badges available and do have one, this is like pretty min maxy already. But if you do have some one that gives those stats, then you could just unequip that and equip literally anything else, and it'll do more for you at least.
fair
Talks
enough.
about familiar shop, and then here's basically all the advice. So like on what lines to look for, drop rate, IED, how you can use their IED on your other characters, right? On bossing mules,
Yeah.
what we were talking about before. If you have a lot of extra points, extra familiars that are all separate familiars that you can't use to rank up,
Hmm.
you could turn them into points for essence and then maybe for booster packs if you have left over. And
Yeah.
then the main thing past that, so that would be like main characters, side character at the most, is to look for large drop rate. I don't think you have one of those yet, right?
I do. I have two that have increased meso and item by a large amount.
Yeah, but that's a different line. So we
Oh,
want
okay
to get
then.
specifically.
Okay.
So So this links to a whole
Oh,
bunch of stuff. So this is possible familiar lines that shows you all of the variances if you ever want to see that. Line prevalence, because the lines are also weighted, they're not equal. So that's
okay.
also a fun thing. And then there's, based on those numbers, somebody made the expected cost of like how many cards, how many familiars you need to use to get certain lines. So this specifically relates to boss damage, IED, large healing, or any combination of those things, or
Yeah.
percentage attack. So you
Okay.
can see the harrowing giant numbers of how ridiculously horrible those rates are.
Yeah, I can
And then, oh, the
confidently say
badges
I've
is
never
here.
seen it.
Yeah,
I've never seen a boss damage one in my life. So.
yeah, those, yeah. There's a few characters of mine that are in the same situation. Yeah. So here are the badges. That's the last there, so you can see which ones are
Yeah.
easy. Typically, these are just the ones that don't have a boss in it, because the bosses are, even though individually per boss, technically the drop rate is higher than per monster, but because they have respawn timers and there's just one,
Mhm.
it takes forever. And then the other one is, this is what I made. This goes into drop rate, meso obtain, how to basically go about bringing up your drop rate and your meso obtain for your account. And it also looks at the familiars as a source of drop rate in there, and what the percentages and what the names mean. So you have a lot
Oh
of
yeah, that I don't
these.
know.
You have a lot of these here, right? Increases item and meso drop rate by a large amount.
Yeah.
And if you summon
Yeah.
them, you'll see in your stat window that those are either 50 or 60% lines, which are good, but
Ah.
that's more like a foundation of where you want to start at. And then
Okay.
the one you want is increases item drop rate by a large amount. That says just this, because that one gives 100% uniquely. So you see that
Okay.
the split ones give a lower percentage, but like if you have increases item and meso drop rate, it gives you 40%, and if you just have increases
Yeah.
item drop rate, that's also 50%. If it just gives one of
Okay.
the two.
So yeah, I'm just looking at one. It says increase item drop rate and then increase item acquisition rate by 10%.
Yeah, you
So
have
is
that
that like
one.
60? Yeah.
Yeah, so that one here, that one stacks together with the percentages from your equips
Right. Okay.
for its respective max. So if you have item acquisition plus 10%, as long as you don't have 200% yet from your equips, that line on the potential will give you more drop rate. As soon as your equips get to 200%, then that line will stop functioning because you'll go
Yeah.
over cap.
Yeah.
But
I'm
right now,
checking here.
that one is very good. Like increase
Yeah.
acquisition rate 10% and increases item drop rate. That one, if you equip that, you should be able to see your drop rate go up, right, in your
Yeah.
stat window.
Yeah. 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 I think max drop rate I can get now with the coupon from Legion is 333%.
Okay, so that's good. That's good. And that usually, and if you look at the cost, right, of this one, you'll see also why we go to certain lines. So typically, you go to Epic to get large drop, because you
Right.
see at Epic that's 15,255 cost. But if
Mhm.
you want to get that at Unique, that's 25,425. Of course, Unique gives you better access to other lines,
Yeah.
because you can see like boss 30% plus, for example. If you do that, if you try to do that with an epic, that's 76,000, but with the unique, it's only
Right.
50,000. So that's way more efficient. So typically, you want to get
Yeah.
that large drop first, so that you can get more familiars, and then go for uniques to get those really good lines, like a large
Right.
IED, large boss, large attack, big healing, because you want that party healing for some bosses. For like Vihela and
Yeah.
stuff. It's very useful.
I'm just checking here. There's 3 familiars that I have that are unique that I completely forgot I have. I didn't took a screenshot of them, but it says continually stores large amount of HP and MP, and
Mm-hmm.
then
That's a good
and
one.
then like shrouds your character in darkness or whatever. But then I don't know what this is. I kept them because I didn't know what they were.
Okay.
What on earth is auto steal?
Yeah, it's a pretty niche thing, but basically, autosteal gives you a chance when you hit a monster that they will drop the item that they would drop when they die, but you can get it before they die,
All right.
but
Okay.
only if they were already going to drop it. So essentially, it's kind of useless, because if you were
Yeah, I
going to
was
kill
gonna
the
say, well,
monster anyway, yeah. But it has an extra value in the sense that it can steal a percentage of the meso that it was going to drop and drop that
okay.
earlier, and it will still drop the full amount when it does die. So
All
if you
right. Okay.
use those together with so ideally you use, if you don't need to work on familiars anymore, you'd wear a large drop rate for all for everything, and then two of the auto steal ones, and that way you make a little bit more money when you're training. It's something
Right.
like
Okay.
0.5% more meso for every for every 1% auto steal or something. Like
Okay.
it does add a bit. But if you're still working on familiars, typically you have one. If you're going to be leveling a lot of familiars, you have one equipped the drop rate, and then two of the ones you're leveling up, so that after your training session you can like slam in the cards, right, and then
Yeah.
turn them into hopefully into unique, with that 40% chance to for success.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can say that that's been a while just trying to click that button, to be honest.
Yeah. So
So
since we're on the topic of drop rate and stuff,
yeah.
so the familiars don't stack with each other. Only the largest percentage will apply, right?
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So otherwise, everyone would have like 3 large drop rates and then 300% plus. You
Right.
get too
Okay.
crazy, right? So if you
Fair.
were to equip, for example, like a large drop rate one and
Mm.
a large drop rate plus meso drop rate one, then the drop rate part here would apply because that's the 100%, and then this one
Yeah.
for drop rate wouldn't apply, but it would apply for meso drop rate.
Gotcha.
But
Okay. So it takes
yeah,
the okay. So it takes the bigger one, and then just okay. Gotcha.
yeah, but because they're two different sources, it will still apply both, but then just the largest percentage of each one.
Okay.
But when it comes to meso drop rate, you only need 66.67% to always get it back to drop. So it's like the magical number we're looking for.
All right. Okay.
But from sources that are not familiar, all the other sources of item drop rate percentage, they apply to all items that drop, including meso bags. So it's only for familiars that they're split up. So if you have inner ability with drop rate, for example, if you have holy symbol, if you have equipment with item drop rate percentage, right? Those all apply to meso bags as well. So if you have at least like 67% within those, then meso drop rate just won't do anything for you, and you're just purely looking for item drop rate. That's why we chase that 100% item drop rate familiar.
Okay. What the heck? All right.
So we can look at at your equips with drop rate, I guess, because I would say that is like a big foundation of your entire account to make sure that you can make progress, right?
Yeah, I've tried to make. Actually, they might be slightly updated at the minute, so I'll
Okay.
let you know. But we'll have a look, I guess. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember which ones I put on here. I think it was literally earlier today, like when I got home, like straight when I got home. I got the Daybreak pendant to legendary potential with 20% drop rate. Um,
Okay.
and then just because I was bored, really. I don't know
Okay.
if having the Daybreak pendant is worth it. Like I don't know if having the Dawn boss that's worth it. Um, at the minute for me, I'm not 100% sure yet. And
Mm-hmm.
then what else
Well,
changed?
there's a lot of options, right?
Yeah, and then I think that's it for the minute. I think I'm wearing all damage gear anyway.
So what I
But
see for drop stuff,
yeah,
I see 5 rings, one with double drop,
yeah,
and then
yeah. So
2 single drop, 2 with meso,
yeah,
and then an earring with drop, 2 pendants each with drop, and then an earring with drop as well. So you've got 2 earrings with drop,
I've
right?
yeah, I've pretty much replaced the Mechanator pendant with the Daybreak pendant essentially.
And earring wise, the Estelle earrings and the Deacitus earrings.
Yeah, I have the Estelle earrings or the deciduous earrings. I just did it for both of them because again,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. I don't know if turning the Estelle earrings into an actual. I don't know if having the boss set is worth it. I don't think it's worth getting rid of the Superior Gullick, so I just kept them for drop.
Yeah,
For some
so
reason.
when you're like growing it out, like the general order, if you're including like all of the upgrading and like the entire account, like the really
Mm.
quick and dirty version of it, is that when you're starting out, you want to just get like 3% on everything. If something goes to epic, you want to get 6%
Yeah,
on everything just to get your
yeah,
damage. Your weapon is going to want to get attack percent on it. Your emblem and your secondary typically are items that you keep longer. So those are usually the ones, especially once you get their permanent versions, right? They're level 100 or higher.
yeah,
The first items that go to unique, and then also the first items that go to legendary. Rule of thumb is that if it's rare or epic, you just hit for top line stat percentage and then you move on.
Mm.
With the exception of the weapon, the secondary, and emblem. There you want to get a line of attack percent or magic attack percent for top line, and then you move on. If you
Yeah.
go to a unique, typically I want to get a line and a half. I want a second line to also do something. And if you don't have the money for that, then just don't go to unique. Just stay where you are, right? You typically want the money to be able to capitalize on that. And if you're going to go to legendary, then you want at least 2 fully flushed out, useful, good lines. Otherwise, don't go to legendary and just stay on unique, right? Because the premium you're paying to get to the higher tier is just so high that it wouldn't make sense to go there and then not capitalize on it. Then it's better to just spend your money in other places.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, so you're beginning like, well, everything is like epic. Everything goes up to like 10 stars. That's all like fine. Your emblem and your secondary start going up to unique. They go up to legendary, so up to 2 useful lines. Usually by that time, your weapon starts going up to something that's slightly more permanent, so up to Absolab. And then that one can go up to 17. Everything else still like 10 or 11 stars is all fine. And then you're working towards getting accessories. So from epic right up to legendary, and then going for drop or mezzo, 1 line of drop or mezzo, and then moving on. And then basically keeping this in mind, right? Like the first set of like 4 lines of item drop, 5 lines of mezzo, so you can maximize on your mezzo. You can make sure you have a 100% chance to drop mezzo bags, and then as many drops on top of that as possible.
Gotcha.
And then you move into Abzo, your CRA, you get more backups, so that stuff all starts going up to 15 and up to 17, depending on like events, right? Events will usually guide you there. And then you're sitting on basically like full 17. WSE is legendary, your accessories are legendary, everything else is 17, but is basically still epic, maybe if you got to unique in the meantime, right? Because then there's a lot of transfer hammering going on. Did you use that a lot in your non-reboot?
To be honest, no, because you could just, it sounds really shitty, but like you could just buy everything, so not really, like it was just, I'm very, something that I wasn't in reboot or non-reboot. I was very impatient.
And you can be impatient there.
Yeah,
but in reboot you kind of have to be patient. If you're impatient, you might be sacrificing a lot of long-term progress for a little bit of short-term progress.
Yeah, and that's why that's one of the reasons I made the switch, is because it kind of forces me to wait, really. You know, so
you'll get rewarded. You know, you can see it as punishment for not doing it, or as reward for doing it. You know, or a little bit of both.
Yeah, right. So it's like the Daybreak pendant. You know, I didn't think one would ever drop for me. I'm still waiting for a Twilight Mark to drop, and I've been doing this since July. So it's like, but when it finally drops, I know I'm gonna be like, oh my god. You know what I mean? So like the satisfaction is nice. So yeah, but yeah, I've never had to really worry about it in reg server. So
yeah, so transfer hammer is a huge thing. So that's why it's also good that you have like pictures of all of your your backups and your inventory. Because basically once you're at that point, you're looking at, for star forcing, you're looking at going past 17, which means possible booms, and for potentialing, you're looking at either an event or a cube sale, so you can very easily get stuff up to legendary. But some stuff you don't want to get to legendary too quickly, because you might have to transfer hammer, and when you do, the potential gets overwritten. So if you go too high too fast, you're gonna have to like redo that anyway, and that's a huge waste of your money.
That's an issue that I had with my superior belt, because I had it was at 17, and then I had like I think like a couple bill extra, or not extra, but that I had because I got my CRA to 20, and then I just stopped looking at the screen. I just started clicking, and I got my Golden Clover belt to 22, and then I was like, oh crap, and then I was like, I guess I'll just put this on my belt then. But then obviously it went back down to epic, so I was like, oh. So I had to use like the remaining money I had to get it back up to legendary, and then that pretty much just killed me.
Of course, that's worth it, right? Like having a 21 belt, that's worth it. But if you can avoid that, that's even more money in your pocket, and then it's more money that you can spend on the belt after it gets to 21, and then
Yeah.
get its final potential, or its more final potential. I guess maybe not final if you're going to 22. So that's basically how you want to look at the pieces in terms of where do you push past. So we're at the point, right? Like everything
Yeah.
17, WSE, accessories, that's all set. So that's a drop and meso combination set. That's a damage set for WSE. So usually also mainly for attack, right? Because if you're going a lot of boss and IED, then that's
Yeah.
useful for bossing, but then for mobbing, you're losing a lot of damage. And since we're fully going drop and meso on the accessories, that's a lot of damage lost there until the CRA and the Abso stuff come online. So at this point, usually what a lot of people do is they go super hard on their potentials. They get everything to legendary, everything to 2.5 line.
Yeah.
And then they're kind of like, sometimes even before they finish the drop in the meso gear, and then they're kind of like locked in because now your rates start going down. You can boss pretty well, but you start realizing that bosses don't drop shit, and that it might take you months or a year to actually be able to make significant progress because you don't really like booming, and because you have no drop rate gear. Getting backups is a nightmare. So this is the point where you start on one end for drop rate, and so especially if you start finding equips that can replace the current pieces you have that are damage gear, specifically for the accessories, you can start adding more pieces to the drop and meso set, specifically with more drops, so that you can kind of have a drop meso set, a drop set, and then the other thing you're working for is a damage set for the accessories. And that's predominantly going to be Dawn pieces or Sweetwater pieces or Superior Golix pieces. Those are the ones you're looking for all of that. So Superior Golix by itself is trash. You need all of the pieces, right, for the set bonus. Without the set bonus, it's just not worth it. So there's no need to rush into a piece if you get it. And if you do get a piece, you can get drop rate or mesobtain on it. It's not it's not the end of the world. You can use it like that for now. Once you have all of it, designate it as damage set, and then recube whatever you need to do. So it's good to have some spare pieces around that are legendary, so you can re-roll whatever fits your set, but you want to avoid having like 15 or 20 legendary accessories that have with a bunch of overlap that you can never really, that don't have a function in any of the sets, because then there's just more money being spent there than is ever going to come back to you. So right now I think you have like quite a lot, like if you have two earrings that both give you drop rate, well, you can only wear one set, right? So if you have one for meso and one for drop, and that matches up with your set, that could work. If one is damage and one is drop, that could work. If one is meso and one is damage, right? You could get up to 3 if necessary. But if you have a damage one and if you have a drop rate one, you don't need another drop rate one. So there is an argument for getting really strong drop rate pieces and everything. But that is something that you're mostly pretty been maxing on. And if you're going to be doing that, the main thing, the first thing you always want to do is get it to high Star Force. Because if it doesn't go to high Star Force, you're going to have to do that eventually if you want to make a strong piece. And then if it booms, you don't want to have a trace in your inventory that has like 2 billion spent on the potential and $500 million spent on the flame, and now it's just a trace and you can't do anything with it. That's a huge waste. So you want to do the potential then first. If it goes with the Star Forcing then first. If it goes with the Star Forcing, then you can commit to it with the other forms of upgrading. If it doesn't go, okay, we tried. We stick to what we have now. So that way you avoid your money kind of just, because that's the thing, right? We can never trade that stuff off. You can never sell it to someone. You can't give it to another character. It's all, you got to get into the mindset of like, this is the only character that can use this stuff. And also, if you have something, how long am I going to use it? And if I stop using it, will it ever maybe have another use afterwards? And that will give you information on how deeply do you invest into something. Something you can transfer hammer over. Okay, that means that the potential I can invest a little bit into. The Star Force I can probably invest way more into because that'll have a future, right?
Right. So on that note, is having the Dom boss set worth it in your opinion?
So it's a nice, it's more accessible, but it's one of those sets where it kind of clashes with other stuff, because the Dom boss is nice, but it's basically like a cool placeholder until you get your superior set completed, because the superior set bonus is just blowing it out of the water. So what we mostly do is we do superior set and then 2 set Dawn, so typically the Twilight Mark and the Slime Ring, because the two
Okay.
set still gives you that 10% boss damage, and then
Right.
3 and 4 is kind of like it's okay, but it's not that great. And then
Yeah.
the Daybreak Pendant eventually comes back once you switch out your. So this is like pitch, right? We're talking like
Yeah.
a year plus from now, like a year and a half if you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
some of those. Um,
Yeah. I'm happy with my 2-set pitch at the minute. I'm
yeah,
over
that's
the
already
moon.
yeah, that's already really nice. But that's the other thing, right? 2-set pitch when you have two 17-star pieces, or 2-set pitch when you have two 22-star pieces is like a different universe,
Yeah.
right? So Dawn will also allow you and get more of it to go higher on the Star Force, so that when you get a pitch, you can also get riskier there on the Star Force immediately, so you know if
Okay.
it's worth again investing into the potential and the flame or not. Because
Yeah.
if when you get to a certain point, if something doesn't at least get 21 or 22, depending on where you're at, then it's just not even worth
Not worth it.
cubing it or flaming it, because it's just going to be a trace in your inventory. Especially if it's a pitch, it might be a trace in your inventory for like half a year before you even see a backup. So
Right.
you want to get those more guaranteed backups and those guaranteed pieces, those guaranteed upgrades. And this is why it's good to have good drop rate, to circle back, to have good drop rate and to do your daily bosses and weekly bosses, because that'll give you backups, and backups give you options. Because without
Okay.
options, all you're left with is cubing. And then
Yeah.
again, you can go a while with cubing, but you'll hit a wall. But if you
Yeah.
have options with backups, you can keep going on star forcing. And as long as something goes, then you can invest into it, and then that piece that will soak up so much money, but it'll be such a strong piece that that'll
Yeah.
give you time to make your money back. And in the time you make your money back, hey, look at that. Now you suddenly have like 7 or 8 kind of treasure rings. Now you can push on that. You blow all
Yeah.
of them up. Well, that sucks. But now your money's also gone, so we're good. Or they actually go, and now you can be like, okay, I got a 21 kind of treasure. Cool. I'm gonna make a second one. I get a second one. Cool. Now I can make a 20-star superior
Yeah, it's
ring.
kind of where
Yeah.
I'm at, is that I'm trying to is that hopefully I get to the point where I can transfer for the Connor rings and stuff. But I got 1 to 21. I kind of crapped myself a little bit, and then
Yeah.
just didn't touch anything else.
No, that's fine. But since you have like a decent amount of legendaries, so check for a set, right? So we can.
Yeah.
You always want to build your set around anything that has double lines potentially. So you have one thing that has double drop, right?
Yeah,
The
I'm trying to
Tenebris ring.
yeah, I wanna get more things with double drop, but obviously I know that's probably worth just saving up until like double prime or something.
Well, for
So,
now, since the drop rate totally caps at 200% from equips, if you have one double
yeah.
drop and then 8 other single drops, that gets you to 200%, and that hits you the cap for now. So when you're looking at like multiple items with double and everything, or like a 5 and 10 set, like 5
Mm,
lines of mezzo, 10 lines of drop,
yeah.
that's like quite a lot further. And that can be very expensive as well. That's definitely something you want to work towards and keep in mind, but that is expensive as hell. So
Okay.
don't go for that too quickly, because then again, you're cutting into the money at that point of being able to
Yeah.
afford 17 to 19 stars and 19 to
Yeah.
21 stars. And remember,
True.
if your accessories are mostly doing item drop rate, and mezzo, even more so than now, they're going to get even less stat. And now you're losing overall damage while the monsters are getting stronger. So that damage needs to come from somewhere. It needs to come from arcane stuff, right? That needs to be
Yeah.
Star Force. It comes from CRA gear that needs to go up to 21. It comes from some other stuff, and from your Legion, which all
Yeah.
needs to grow together. And that's why we go back to the progression gear, where as long as all of that stuff goes together and everything goes at like 70% of the total efficiency, 75% of the total efficiency, right? No one
Yeah.
thing that goes to like 95% and something else that gets stuck at 60%. You can do that if the 95 thing is something you really want to do, and the 60% something is just something you really hate, right? Then you can
Yeah.
compensate those. But as long as you keep them more similar, it's just going to be more time efficient for you. And then you make it so that your equipment doesn't have to be like 22 star full 3 line to be able to kill things.
Yeah.
But for some people, if you misallocate your, and yeah, we didn't go into that yet, but like if you don't allocate your hyperstep properly, or your Legion grip properly, or your link skills, if that's not like optimized, you might have to put like grab like 30 or 40% more damage from your equips to do the exact same damage, which would be a shame, because
No,
it
that's
just
fair. Yeah,
you
I've
know.
I've watched some of your coaching sessions before, and I've tried to pay attention to like crit rate to make sure I'm not going over on the hyper
Yeah,
stat and the
yeah, crit rate
and
and
stuff.
ID,
So
right? Those are the
yeah.
important
So
ones. Yeah.
currently I'm maxing out the crit rate at about with, but to be fair, I've taken off. I decided to maximize the Legion, so I just went
Mm-hmm.
ignore defense, critical damage, and a little bit into boss damage. and then my boss damage at the minute is 242. So, but obviously I haven't bothered with critical rate, so that means that my critical rate in my hyper stat is quite high. So it's like 8, I believe. 8, I think.
As long as it's under
Um,
10, I wouldn't call anything high.
okay.
And because up to 10 is very affordable, especially once your character is like above 260. 10 is kind of
Yeah.
like free. That's like
Okay.
baseline, honestly, for
All right.
something
Cool.
for the useful stats. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So just to wrap up the part about the drop rate stuff, so I'd
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
for a set, so centering around the double drop ring essentially,
Okay.
um, where you can have like full meso and drop that makes sense, where you use as many pieces for as many different sets as possible, so you can free up as many pieces for possible other functions.
Okay. Okay.
So if we're looking at, we only have one eye and one face, right? That
Yeah.
are legendary. Yeah, so those two go in, guaranteed. So that's two
Yeah.
meso, okay. And then we have only one item with double drop, which is the one ring. So that's two drop 2. So we're going for a 5/5 setup because we can get one extra line out of there.
Yeah.
So other rings, we have 4. We have 4 other rings. So one of those doesn't need to go in. We have a possibility for between 2 meso and 2 drops, so we can stay flexible there in case of depending on which one we want to use. But we do want to ideally use either the Justicar or the Cracked Golex ring because we don't want to use those as damage gear.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Slime ring, ideally we want to use that one as damage gear when it gets high enough up, or the Kana Treasure, ideally maybe both. But for now we can use them since they're just at 17. We can just use those. So we can look at your damage rings that you have and see which rings are there and see if maybe there's one of those that can swap. Which ones are you using here? Using Superior and then the Flame Ring. And you have another Guardian Angel Slime Ring.
Yeah. I used the
Okay.
ones like I literally just got because I didn't really know what to do, and I had
Yeah.
like meso and cubes. I just said and the one that is itemized is also the Dawn boss set.
Yeah, well,
So
typically people at your level, and especially I'm talking like a year ago, people at your level, they have no Guardian Angel rings. They've never even dreamt of seeing pitch yet. But because of 6 job and how much faster you can move and do the harder levels of the boss,
yeah,
most people have like a Kana Treasure, 1 for drop and 1 for damage, for example.
yeah,
Never
yeah,
like a slime. That just wasn't possible. But now that would make more sense. The way you want to look at these backups, though, is that some backups are just going to be more limited than others, just because of the nature of the difficulty of the boss or just the level of the drop rate. And that makes certain items more suitable for backups. And then, of course, event rings ideally are more in the drop rate and meso obtain like set level than others, just because they're kind of like 17-star rings, but they're limited at that. You can't star force them past that, so you get a lot of damage up front, but then it stops there. So
yeah. Okay.
so Kana Treasure Ring will eventually become a damage ring instead of one of those other two. One is 27, one is 24. So the 24, the Rebooted Wake Ring, would be the one that I would be looking at to see if maybe to swap with the Kana Treasure Ring.
Okay.
And have the Kana Treasure Ring be damage instead, and have the Rebooted Wake Ring be drop or meso instead. But right now, we do have 4 rings that do something, so we could also just get damage on a Kana Treasure Ring until it gets better than the Rebooted Wake Ring, use that as your damage one, and then just keep the Rebooted Wake Ring as it is now until you need something. For example, you're trying to go for a high Star Force Dawn Guardian Angel Ring, and you boom your current damage one, then you want to transfer that trace into the current drop one. You take your Awake Ring, you roll drop rate on that, it fits your drop and meso set, and now you still have a damage Dawn Guardian Ring, right?
Yeah. So sorry, what did you say about that Connor ring? Sorry, say it one more time.
So I would put the Kana ring because you're going to get backups on that, and because it has the potential to go up to 21 and to 22. I would use that as your damage ring instead of the Rebooted Wake Ring.
I have one as a damage ring.
Wait, other than...
Yeah, I have one. It's an epic here, but I got it up to legendary. It's 21 stars.
Oh, you had an extra somewhere. Yes, you
Yeah.
had a 21. Yeah,
And
okay.
now it's legendary with 18% strength.
Oh, okay, that's great. So that pushed the Rebooted Wake
For
Ring
now,
probably out, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's out. I think the Is it the Reboot Awakening?
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because the other one is yeah, the Reboot Awakening is slightly better than the Flame, or is it the same as the Flame? No, it's the same as the
The
Flame, yeah,
Eternal.
but the Flame is
Yeah,
27, so that one's slightly
yeah,
better, yeah. Okay, so the Kana treasure is okay, makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so the Reboot Away could replace, if you need more damage, could replace the Cracked Golix String, for example. That'd be way
yeah,
stronger as a piece, but you already have 4 rings.
yeah.
Um, but you'd want to get a set with 200% drop rate. So I
Yeah.
think you're free to roll drop rate on the Reboot Awake ring, and then the Cracked
Okay.
Golix ring can become like a backup, maybe for the future sometime if you need something with a function. For now,
Gotcha.
because we're good on Meso, right? Because I
Yeah.
face, and we've got the rings set up.
Yeah.
So that gives us a total of, we're going to get drop rate on that one. So that's extra. So now we have 4 Meso and 3 drop. Extra Meso on this pendant. We have 3 pendants. Yeah, 1 with drop, 1 with Meso. That's fine. So that gives us 4 Meso and 4 drop. Yeah, and then we just have the earring. Oh, and then we have earrings both with drop. Yeah, so if you make one of the 2 earrings a drop earring. They both have drop now. So one would have to be a Meso earring.
Okay. No worries. I could do that.
Because then you get the pendant. Because you had drop on the dawn, right? On the dawn,
Yeah.
or the daybreak pendant? Yeah.
And
Yeah, and it's a
the
little
Daybreak
bit
got dropped.
contradictory because you'd think like, oh, drop rate, I'd want to have like a strong piece, but technically it's best to have Meso obtain on your strongest piece and drop rate on your weakest piece, because you're going to be either doing weak bosses or just opening boxes, so you don't need any damage for those 2.
Gotcha.
But if you're mobbing, you might be doing higher level mobs that need more damage, so you actually want to get Meso obtain on your higher level one
That
if you could
makes a lot of
choose.
sense. I just never thought about it that way, but yeah, that makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. Okay. Lovely.
And then we have extra drop rate pieces. So now we have 5 Meso obtain pieces, and then we want to see if for each one of those we can have something either already right now or on the books that will become a backup for drop rate, so we can go for the full 200% drop rate set. So we have 1 extra pendant. No, you already have 2 drop rate pendant. Okay, what do we have? We have an earring that has Meso, 2 rings, and the eye in the face, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just quickly, because I think I have like 15 minutes before I have to go
Gotcha.
run and do something. But
Mm-hmm.
for the when it comes to progression of gear, so this is
Yes.
actually like super helpful because this helps
Yeah,
me
it's a foundation,
understand
yeah.
like like this helps me understand like what the foundation I'm like basing all this off of. But
Yep.
for so I pushed. So I know we talked already in like on Discord about pushing like CRA and stuff. I got lucky with my CRA and I one tapped the 3 main items, like
Mm-hmm.
obviously. Um, so it was quite lucky in that sense.
Yep. Also 20. Yep.
However, like the next bit, I don't know what would be ideal. Do I push for like, is it worth to just try the 21s the next time an event comes around, or am I now focusing on getting arcanes to then get those up to 20?
So you've got 17 arcanes now, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got the 4, and then your weapon is 17, and you got the 2-line attack, 1-line all stat. Yeah, because I'm trying to look at a little bit of everything.
yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna look very closely at the progression grid, right?
Yeah.
Because I think potential. Because I think overall, if I'm looking at the thing that's maybe falling behind a little bit, it might be your flames.
Yeah,
And
I tried to. I
because there's some
tried
good
to.
ones, but there's also some that are like, oof,
Yeah,
this
I know.
could
Yeah,
could use some
that
help. Well,
that's one of
not
the
that
things.
it's like shit, but it's just flames are supposed to kind of be forgotten because you
Yeah,
want your Star Force, and there's just been a Star Force event and a cubing event and
yeah,
everything. So you spend all of your money on there, and that so it's a good
yeah,
thing that they're behind. But it's also good to realize that they're behind, and that now disproportionately spending a bit more money on them or a bit more attention to them will
yeah,
actually net you good gains.
yeah.
Because
Like I
like
know my
yours,
Sweetwater is absolutely tragic.
well, but it's a
Like I know.
Sweetwater piece, so it's gonna have a bad flame rate. It doesn't have flame
Yeah,
advantage, so it's
yeah.
gonna.
So like that's another thing. Don't understand that whatsoever. Don't know what has this flame advantage thing. I don't understand the.
Hmm.
I don't understand what good. Like I hear people saying like numbers when they talk about flames. I
Yeah,
don't understand that at all. Yeah,
yeah. So I have a
I'm a
video
bit
on
lost.
that under exclamation mark flames. So for the command,
Okay.
there's three things there. So there's a video where I go through the whole thing, and there's a score calculator and a cost calculator. So the video kind of explain basically
Okay.
because flames are all over the place, and there's a bunch of lines that you could get, and there's advantage and disadvantage. So there's a link to these items have advantage. Basically, just
Gotcha.
certain types of items have advantage, which means that the average outcome of your flame roll will just be higher. So we set
Right.
higher standards, and you'll just get better bang for your buck there than if you're comparing to items that don't have flame advantage.
Gotcha.
Um,
Okay.
that's
I'll be
one thing.
watching that then.
Yeah, and then so the score calculator is we try to take all of the stats that do anything, so all of the green numbers basically on a flame, and we throw them all into one pile into a flame score, so that you can compare apples to apples instead of
Yeah.
figuring out like what tier is this, how much dex equals how much strength, whatever. We have like a calculator for that one so you can set. If you look at the calculator, you can see like, okay, first of all, like, are you late game? So is it more going to be like a boss mule essentially, or is it going to be more end game? Like, is it your main? Are you going to go all the
Yeah.
way? Because the
Yeah.
balance of the stats shifts with the access of balance of other stats, right? You can
Okay.
imagine if you have access to way more attack, then like percentage attack will be more important, but flat attack will become a little bit less important because
Right.
it'll be part of a giant pile. Or if you have way more flat stat, well, then percentage stat will actually become more valuable because there's more stat to multiply. So based on what you will have access on, that's one thing. The other thing is like which class are you, because certain characters scale a little bit differently. So you're
Okay.
just going to be a standard strength class. Um, and then weapon is also separate, and then items are separate. And then basically we just throw it all into the same pile. So to do a quick
So
example, if you would look at your pants, for example, so there's four stats that will give you damage. That's strength,
yeah.
dex, attack, and all stat.
Yeah.
So we can see that's 12,
Oh yeah.
16. You don't have any attack, and 4. So that would be a flame score of 49.6. So if you want to, you can
Gotcha.
keep track here. You could do like CRA pants or something, save it, boom. And then you can check
Okay.
another one. Your top, for example, no strength, no dex, and just has 4 all stat. So that'll be just 4. And then you can see top, boom. And then the third one,
No. No.
the hat
All right.
has 16, no dex, 5 attack, and 6. So you can see 16, 0, 5, and 6. So you can
Oh.
see hat, yep, and save. So now you can see the difference between these three in their flame score.
Right.
So when it
Okay.
comes to the value of the flame, this one is giving you basic. So this is all redirects to your main stat. So if you had
Yeah.
85 flat stat,
Yeah.
that would be 85. For
Right.
if you needed only dex, you would need like 850, which is impossible. So that
Yeah.
wouldn't work. Set all stat is worth around 9. It goes up to like 10. So we might have to adjust this like in the future. But it can go up to 8 because 7 would be the highest number on Eternal Flame and 6 would be the highest number on a Powerful Flame. All of the
Gotcha.
outcomes and the tiers and everything is also explained in the video. So that
Okay.
alone already equates for 50. So if you hit something like 30 and 6, that doesn't look very good, but that'd be the same as you hit 85 and 0.
Okay.
Or if you hit 5 and 5 on the attack and on the weapon attack, right, like you have on the pants,
All
and
right.
just a little bit of stat gets you something like this. So now you can compare apples to apples, because these are all three items with flame advantage, and they're
Right.
all items of the same level, so they're within the same tiers. So you can compare their flame value one to
And
the other.
okay. So is the flame score out of 100? Sorry.
No, it can go way above. So if you
Oh,
you
right.
could you
Is
could
there a
hit
cap
something
of
like
any sort,
80
or?
and 6 and 6 or something is like possible on
Yeah.
CR8 technically. So you could go up to this.
Okay. Okay.
But it gets, and this is when you get into the calculator. You could calculate the value now that you know the value, and you'd have to put the same value here. So
Right.
if you
Okay.
put the same as the calculator, would be like a 9, 3, and 10. You say like, okay, item between 140 and 159, powerful flames, its armor has advantage.
Okay.
Let's say I wanted to get 85, right? That's the one you have
Yeah.
on this one. What is that flame
Mhm.
worth? So that flame is worth about 400 mil on average. That's worth about 41 powerful flames. So if you want to
Yeah.
get the other two items from that where they are to that'll cost you approximately this much, but it'll gain you like 50 stat on this one and like almost 40, like 35 stat on that one. Plus
Okay.
multiplied by all of your stat, and then over all of your items with all your percentages, right?
Yeah.
It adds up very nicely. Or you could say, well, like,
Right.
I'm going to go for like 100 or something, and then you can see how much more expensive it gets, and be like, oh, that's not that
Gotcha.
bad. I'm going to go for 110, and then you see that the number starts very quickly getting pretty crazy,
Yeah.
because
Right.
now they become outliers. They become theoretically possible, and what I said, like the 152, is still possible, but now you're looking at like an average cost of 48 trillion meso, so that's not
Yeah. Yeah.
really.
You're talking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes people ask like, how high can it go? That's a dumb question because it can go very high, but
Yeah. It could go
but
super
it
high.
won't,
Yeah.
right? And you could
Yeah.
put in like 170 or something, and it'll just say like that's not possible. But maybe with
Right.
Eternal Flames you can actually hit that, but you
I
need
guess
2.5
realistic. I guess.
billion.
Yeah. I guess realistic would
Yeah,
be the better word.
again,
Yeah.
exactly. So now the question is, what is the realistic number to go to? Because again, it redirects back to one resource, Meso, and Meso has to be spent on everything. So you don't want to
Yeah.
spend everything on there. So this is where the progression grid comes in again and has flame score for the advantage items, flame score for the non-advantage items, and flame score for your weapon, which is
Gotcha.
separate. So weapon is a little bit, it's a little bit simpler, but at the same time a little bit more complicated. Basically, what we do here with the flame score, we don't dissect the tiers and everything. We just throw it onto a
Yeah.
pile. For the weapon, the tier is a percentage of the base attack of the weapon. So every single named weapon of every single class has a completely different number for the same tier. So we can't do that, sadly. um,
Okay.
so what we have instead is you need to know, is it flame advantage? What is the item level? And what is the base attack of the weapon? And then it'll show you all the outcomes for the tiers here.
Gotcha.
So then you
Okay.
can
Well,
see
I'm
some
gonna
of
be
those
using
numbers.
that then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's.
So that's this
Yeah.
tier here. That's like the tier of weapon of attack power or magic attack. That's the main thing that you're looking for. High tier there. And then
Right.
plus is anything like damage percent, boss damage percent, or percentage all stats. Like that'll add extra damage. So if you look at your weapon right now, it's not bad, but I would improve it in as well because would spend something on flaming because it's 108, which is of course a lot of attack. But
Yeah.
it's not important that it's a lot. It's important how close is it to where we want it to be, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
108 and 6. So you can put it in here. So it's a level 200 weapon with a 295 base. Arcane is actually pretty easy. You can see that in a second. But basically, the tier 6 you're aiming for is always just a little bit less than half. So if it's 100, that means it's tier 5. If it's 180, if it's over half, that means it's tier 7.
Yeah. So
So
it's like in the upper echelon of flame tiers. It would be past 108 or whatever it would be.
yeah, so 142. But these are the only numbers you can see, right? It'll hit
Yeah. Yeah.
either
Yeah.
a tier 3, a 4, a 5, 6, or you can't hit like
Yeah.
124 or something. That's not possible on this
Yep.
item. So, yeah, so currently is 108, but then you're missing 34 attack, right? So if you put 34
Right.
here and nothing else, that's like a flame score of 102 that you could get on top. And if you look at the flame score calculator and you look for weapon, right? This is like the long explanation, but this
Yeah.
way you can understand. This is like on average 18. So this is eternal. I was going to say that's a little bit too low. Should be more like 34. Yeah, 34 flames, 300 mil, but that would gain you 102 flame score,
Right.
which is like the gains that you could be making at all three of your CRA put together for like 4 times or 5 times the money, right?
Right.
So comparatively, flaming your weapon would actually be hugely beneficial. But now you know where that comes from when someone says flame score, what that even
Okay.
means.
Yeah.
And the
That
video
makes a lot more sense.
will break it down a lot more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just gave you like the Cliff Notes version essentially.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that though. It does help because at least I have somewhere at least I have somewhere to go because I
hmm
understand that bit. So okay. Alrighty. Sorry, taking notes. Silent note taker.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Usually when I do sessions and it's silent, I usually assume people are writing down.
But yeah.
So to go back to your question, right? You were talking about like what is
Yeah.
the next thing to like upgrade then? So
Yeah.
typically, the items that you take to 21 that stay 21 are the one you get there first. So that would be usually in order of backups means lower risk, right? The more
Yeah.
backups you have, the lower the chance of not reaching it. So usually CRA is on top of that line. And usually CRA doesn't go to 20 because if you, and for this, we have a calculator for everything. So for Star Force, if you look at the calculator, you will see that if you go from 19 to 20, that's actually riskier than going from 20 to 21 because there's no drop past past 20, right? Or there's no drop at 20, I should say. So if you would go 19 to 20, all of this equal on CRA, like the average, the median and the average are going to be far away, right? Because there's a good amount of people that just taps it pretty quickly, and then if you don't, it's a lot of money. But looking at the average is like 4.4 mil, whereas 20 to bill, sorry, and then we look at 2021, it's only half the cost because of that dropping. And even if it does drop and it booms, it like evens it out again over the previous one. So typically we go like 17 and then 18 and then 19 one star at a time because we have those backups and we don't transfer hammer into it, right? And you can have all the backups you want. But then when you go from 19, you tend to jump from 19 to 21 for one piece and then move on to the next one. Now you already did 20, so you did the hard part. So with a little bit of luck, you can tap them all to 21 next event and then totally cash in on that. And then, but probably one of them won't go. Just mentally prepare for that one. One of them will probably boom like 14 times. So, just to mess with you. So that's the stuff 221 that we're keeping at 21. Usually, right after that is like the kind of treasuring. You already did that.
Yeah.
And then usually after that is the stuff that we get to 21 to transfer into 20 to make the superior gear bring up to 20. So that's usually the belt, which one you already did, right? Because it's the easiest to get backups again. And then usually that gives you time to get the second one up, which is usually the earrings, because the reinforced earrings tend to drop decently well. And then after that is usually, again, the kind of treasuring the 21 to transfer hammer into the superior ring. Or if you're slower on that or you need other rings, you can also use the Meister ring for that. But you have to craft that and then get the resources.
Yeah,
you can look up the
I'm
Meister
trying.
guide.
I'm
It's
trying,
tricky.
but it's definitely in the tricky category. But I've gotten
Yeah.
my crafting up to that level. I just have to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if so,
get everything for it.
I would wait to get to like Meister crafting and to really work on the Meister until you can craft. I would say at least 2 to 3 rings. Otherwise, keeping up the rank and everything, and if you don't have enough resources, I wouldn't use it too quickly. Because the other thing is also, if you can get there with your kind of treasure rings, then you can essentially keep the resources for the Meister ring as universal backups for your entire account.
Okay.
Because if your other character is like, I get no kind of treasure rings, but I also want to make the same gains, you can just transfer the recipe. Well, you don't need recipe. You can transfer all the resources over, the primals and all that, and now you can just start making Meisters on another character. So that's the closest thing we get to like a transferable equip, okay?
Gotcha.
That's and Reboot, and that's very rare for us. So
that's fair. Valuable.
Yeah, and then the last one is typically the pendant because Dominators are just super rare. You just don't get them very much. And then you need to get one up to 21 and then transfer in. The added bonuses though, now that you can get to the Daybreak pendant sooner, they're both level 140s and they're both transfer fodder for the superior. So now you have double the chances, triple the chances, depending on what the weights are. I don't know exactly. To getting more pendants that could get you fodder into superior. So now you're at like 21 CRA, 21 ring, full 20 star superior, and then depending on your backups, you could choose to also tap to 21 on the superior before you settle into their potential. Most likely that happens to the belt and the earring because they can drop from Gollux, and most likely that doesn't happen for the ring and the earring because you have to the ring and the pendant because you'd have to buy those. So typically those can sit on 20 for a bit longer.
Gotcha.
And then your slime ring will come in, and fit the bill. And then hopefully the third ring you get doesn't have to be a reinforced or a Meister, and hopefully that can be an Oz ring from a box. And then that gets into like those. So if you're looking for Oz rings, you're typically going to be looking for rings of restraint.
Yeah, the Roar 4s.
Yeah, the Roar 4s, the weapon jumps, those are good.
Okay.
And then for some classes as well, the continuous rings, the newer ring.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I have like level 1 or 2 of that or something.
Yeah. That can already be decent because you're a 3-minute class, so it also already syncs with your burst as well. But you probably want to ring swap out of that for like another damage ring for those 2 minutes and 50 seconds that you're not using them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next jump after that is that then it's just all about backups. If you get some arcane boxes, then you might walk the arcanes up, and then again one at a time, right? No big jumps.
Yeah.
Up to 18, up to 19. Then probably by that time the CRA goes to 22. All of the other stuff goes to 21. And then it's either all the other stuff to 22 or jump in the arcanes up to 21, and then eventually everything to 22. That's kind of like...
cool.
One thing might be that if you get to high arcanes and you're already getting to the point where you get to Eternals, of course, that you might just pause on the arcanes in the same way that we pause on Abzos now at 17. There will be a time where people don't really go past 17 on their arcanes because they're already killing the boss that drops the Eternals, And Eternal Star Forcing, I don't know if you want to see those numbers, but
I don't know if I do.
They can get they can get interesting, Safeguard and Star Catch and everything. But if you were to do this off event, you're looking at like an average cost of 88 bill for a 22. Which you of course won't do, but even during 5, 10, 15, it's still 53 bill on average per piece, and you're looking at 2.5 booms.
I think the most I've ever saved up is like 25 bill, so...
Yeah. Well, with higher income and everything, and with longer during plans and needing for backups to even put out these plans, you're going to end up with hanging on to more money. But, every single meso is going to also mean less to you in terms of potential upgrades, so it kind of goes hand in hand.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, even during Shining, I think it's more than 40. Yeah.
And Eternals, I actually don't even know. So just quickly, I mean, it doesn't even matter to me yet because that's like super late.
So pitched is like the worst system in the sense that it's a huge upgrade, but like there's no pity system there whatsoever.
Yeah. It's
Eternals are actually, once you can start clearing the bosses, Eternals are going to be way easier to get than pitched, because Eternals they all come from similar drops like CRA, where you get the emblems, and then you smash the emblems together and you get a piece. Right now it's 10 weeks to get one piece. So that's a long time. But compared to pitch, exactly. Compared to pitch, that's like 3 times the amount. And there are going to be easy bosses that come out in the second part of the update of the bosses that drop them. And those easy bosses are also going to drop the item, but it's going to be like half an item, so you need 20 of them.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Alrighty, that makes sense.
But I mean, compared to easy Lucid and Will, they don't drop shit. So compared to that, it's a great system.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my god. Honestly, the day I get my Twilight mark, Jesus, I might take a break for a bit.
Yeah, that's not, well. It seems like you've been going hard.
I've been trying to. Yeah, so basically, because I started in the summer when there was like I had my break off from school, and I started and I started at this new school, so I just took literally every day that I could, as my partner was at football, and I just did all of this, and it was just ran it every week consistently and got absolutely nothing. I told my buddy at this point I wouldn't be surprised if I got a Lucid belt, like a Dreamy belt, rather than a Twilight mark. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
So
I got one today actually. Nice. Yeah. I got 2 on my marksman now. In total, I think that's like belt number 9 and 10 on my account. So far I've blown up all of them, and I don't have a single 22 for it, so one's got to go eventually, right? But the pitch waiting room is real. For you to be more dynamic, because you might be still in a waiting room for some 22s on one end, and then for some pitched on the other end, and you'll already be working on Eternals on the other end, so it won't feel as bad because you have a bunch of stuff you're working on.
Yeah, it feels like more. Yeah, it feels like more
But if you
progression.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
yeah, but if you were more ahead of that other curve where like everything's 22, everything's done, and then Eternals is not really available yet, the only
Or
thing you can do
crawl.
is
Yeah.
just run weeklies and hopefully get
Yeah.
something,
And hope
and
it's
then
yeah.
and then every 6 months you get something and you just instantly boom it and you're like, oh, that was great,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm
that
glad
makes
that
sense.
they moved those problems. One thing I did want to mention,
Yeah.
your hyper stats are better than the previous ones. Oh, but again, the attack power is a bit too high. I wouldn't take that quite that high.
Okay. No
So
worries. Yeah.
so the next time you reset, I would just like get it down to like level 5 or 6, and then
Okay.
just leave those larger clumps of points past that point to make sure that the other ones can get to like 12 and 13 and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Cool.
Other than
No problem.
that, this all looks pretty clean. It's your mobbing setup. Yeah, when it comes to mobbing and bossing setups, you've probably seen some sessions and copied some stuff there. It looks
I
pretty
have
good.
tried. I've tried to do my own research. I've
Mm-hmm.
tried.
You have two Legion grid setups as well. Because this
Yeah,
is number
I have.
two, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't put it in, but yeah, I have the um what's it called? But yeah, I have the EXP one. It's basically normal damage, a little bit of bonus EXP, and critical damage.
Yeah. All right. Good. Good. Yeah. With a minimal overlap and stick out, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah, yeah,
as you're
yeah, yeah.
actively working on Legion, you'll get like some kind of
Yeah,
Frankenstein version.
yeah, I had to fix it. I had to fix it recently when I
Yeah.
finally got it up to 6,500. So hopefully when I get to 7K, I can still make it, respectable looking. But
Yeah, I recently got my fire poison to 250. Hopefully you don't get too many 250 mages, but those pieces, like it's just a cross, it's just an
oh,
absolute nightmare.
yeah,
You could see the leftover here for me in the critical rate. This isn't looking too pretty, but I managed to build this,
yeah,
and I'm quite happy with this because it also includes like this piece. No, not this one. This piece here, which is a
yeah,
a
yeah,
lovely, just a lovely one to work with. But I
yeah. It's a
managed
clean
to.
one, isn't it?
The whole setup is now it's just perfect. But well, yeah. The next thing is to start filling in the middle, right? So if I do end up
Yeah,
adding extra, it's magic attack, intellect, etc. So
yeah.
always something else you can be working on. But as long as that priority is
Is
straight for you, and
yeah,
you know where to find the resources, right? If you ever work on other
yeah, yeah, yeah,
characters, you can always find
yeah.
like the class discords have like very specific
Yeah, I've joined
class
quite a
help for
few.
you.
I've joined quite a few, to be fair.
That's
So.
good. Oh, I see you have decent Mystic Door here. That's really just not used at all.
Oh, I'll be
So,
honest with you. I
and
just
decent
put
hyper
it in
body as
just
well.
because, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I basically just put it in for the sake of like getting
Filling
it
the
off
slots.
because, yeah, basically.
Well, yeah,
That's
you
it.
have only one set of boost nodes that you need, so you're
Yeah.
just going to be left with space. But I've said also more importantly, just because when you extract them afterwards from a leveled up node, you don't get all of your shards back. It's not like
Right.
the same as if you kept them all as separate nodes and then extracted them all, you would have gotten more. So I would stop leveling it up and just extract it
Okay.
now. And then
Yeah. No
whenever you
worries.
get one from now, you can just extract it, and that'll leave you with more shards, so you can level the other stuff up more. The same thing
All
you
right.
could do as well for decent Blessing, Sharp Eyes, Overdrive, and Speed Infusion. Basically, all of them except for Holy Symbol. Leveling those up is really minimal in gains. It'll be like 1 or 2 stat compared to now on level 25.
Yeah. No
So
worries.
if you want to, you can keep those as shards as well and level other things up, like your goddess or stuff like
Okay.
that, or get more node stones to mules instead, right? When you're working on
Yeah.
more boss mules, so
Yeah.
that'll like, give you more value for your whole account.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, inability is fine for now. You don't need attack speed. You can go hard min max on the inner-ability once you get to like 1.5 to 2 million honor, okay? Before that,
Yeah.
don't touch it.
Okay.
Because then the chance of just being left with something shitty is too high.
Yeah. Yeah. I've pretty much understood that. So
Mhm.
I've left it where it is, and I'm just hoping for I'm just hoping for enough honor experience to go through that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a kind of a rare resource. So if you say like event shops and you don't have too much to buy, maybe buy the honor EXP on there.
Yeah.
because compared to all the other stuff, it might actually be pretty high value. This event shop in particular, they took a lot of the more valuable items that usually are in there out of it, and they gave them all to daily login instead, so we're already getting
Yeah.
all of them. So there's not that much to buy from the shop. So for you and for other people watching as well, definitely consider the Honor EXP there on characters that you
Yeah.
know are going to be future projects for inner ability.
Okay. Well, thank you for this, by the way, because this is and for organizing all the pictures, because that was my bad.
Yeah, it was just for me, I don't mind if it's like 20 or like 25 pictures, but it was like
I
80
know
something, and then it's
it
just
was a lot. Yeah, it
yeah.
was a lot. I wanted to get as much as I could because I didn't know based on
No,
I
it's
didn't
good that you
know,
got it all on there,
you know what
but
I
it's
mean?
one by one, it's
Yeah,
like it's just so rough
yeah,
because
it was.
it gets like out of sight a little bit too fast for me. Like
Yeah,
having all the drop rate and meso ones, or most of them, like on one screen, it just cuts down the amount of work you need to do as well to like figure out how many do you have and what do you need to switch around.
yeah.
Yeah, no
Okay.
worries. It's full service full service coaching.
But I do appreciate it.
Yeah,
If I was thinking about it in the future, I mean, we'll see how the games go in the next 6 months, but
yeah,
I might need a quick session again to see if I hit
sure.
milestones. I might need to see.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully by that time I will be soloing at least Lucid at that point, but that would be the
Yeah, I
hope.
think Hard Lotus that might already be pretty quick. I would say
Yeah,
just give it a try. The
yeah,
hardest part is just that there's some stuff does more damage, but the most of it is just that there's just much more stuff falling.
yeah,
So use your bind maybe as a stall if there's like a dangerous like laser pattern.
yeah.
Binding her will stop. Binding him, sorry, will stop the laser
Oh,
from spawning if there's no safe spot, including your 6 job skill. So that could be like maybe you hold off on your if you're not too comfortable, maybe you hold off on your total burst to be like, I'll just wait until it's super dangerous and then I'll start bursting because then I can start with an iframe
gotcha.
that clears everything and then throw everything else after
Um,
that.
yeah, sorry, because you mentioned Hard Lotus, this actually
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of something, and if there's anybody that's gonna know, it's you. How the
Mm-hmm.
hell do people like float,
Blink.
like to dodge the lasers? Like how, like, you know when
Yeah,
they,
your
you know
blink
when
skill. You have it on a key.
is it blink that you like float in the air?
You jump in the air and then you press blink and then it becomes a float. And then you can
You
fly
are,
around.
oh, you are fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
Are you
And
serious?
yeah, and you hold it, and the higher the level of blink is, the longer you can hold it for. So I'm
Oh, I
showing
had
it
no
right now on
idea.
stream. Yeah, so you can stay in the air quite a bit. And then Arc has like its own flying skill, so you can do like a whole bunch of shit. And I could
Oh,
fly myself.
damn.
So you can use this on Lucid. If the dragon comes down, you can't get to the side.
Yeah.
You can up jump and then blink, stay in the air. It's very useful for that. I've got a little short coming out soon with like how to dodge like the Lucid lasers and the dragon, like all with blink.
All
Hopefully that helps
right.
people out.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
helps massively because I had no idea what that was.
yeah,
Oh,
because
so then you know
stuff
what?
that hits you,
That could help me solo it.
yeah, and stuff that hits
Okay.
you that would otherwise like that wouldn't kill you, it will just like stun you in place, but you won't fall out of your blink.
Yeah.
So you also
I
just
can't
stay in
say
the
that I
air.
use yeah, I can't say I've used Blink much, so I can't say I've read it. Probably should have. My bad. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, it didn't
okay.
used to do that. It just was like the random teleport in the past, and then they overhauled it to give it the float function and to give it the 1 attack per level, so that if you max it out, it does give you an extra 30 attack. So
Yeah,
double buff
fair enough.
on that. Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. If any other small thing like that, I mean, yeah, you can always just ask in the chat. I'm available a lot, so
Yeah, fair enough.
whenever you
I
have
do
any questions.
appreciate it though for taking your time to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to now run and go make food before I get killed by my partner. That's not done yet. So,
Yes. Yeah. 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 Go make some
but I
food.
do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Good luck with everything, and I'll see you around.
Thank you very much. See ya.
All right. Bye bye. All right. Yes. Nice and long session. But yeah, when you have someone who played for a long time and then comes back and goes through the game very quickly, it's very easy to understand some things intuitively very easily, and other things you just kind of do what you hear, but you don't really dive into it. So hopefully my resources, videos, all of the commands that are available to all of you guys as well, hopefully those help you kind of organize stuff. And if you want to look more into a specific topic, and you just want to know what the hell is actually going on there. Why do people say to do a certain thing, and why do they say to not do a certain thing? Where does that actually coming from? That might be interesting to know, because the game does keep changing, and if it changes and you know why it is the way that it is, then you can also know and understand if that change is actually going to affect you, and if you need to change something, or if you could just ignore it, right? And that is where what we talked about way in the beginning comes down, where you have like a good overall knowledge of what the hell's going on in the game, and then you can look at a patch and you can understand, oh, this is important for this character, this I can just ignore, this I can ignore, this is important for all of my characters, right? Once you know where all of that information is coming from, where that advice is coming from. All right, so if you enjoyed this session, I'm glad. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys. If you need any of the resources, you can use the chat over at twitch.tv/Scardor. You can use ! And then any of the topics you're looking for information on, and you can find all of the links in the Legion skills, for example. You can find all of the events that are going on right now with links to the patch notes, so you can immediately read what's going on. That's always being kept up to date, so feel free to link to all of those things, or whatever it is. Get your put it in your favorites. Put it in your what did they used to do on the bottom, like in your feed, your activity feed? No, they used to have this thing where you could. It wasn't bookmarking, but it was something else. Old people on the internet, you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, all of these resources are available to everyone just in the Twitch chat, so feel free to drop by. I also stream every day, so there's a good chance I'm also live, so feel free to ask me anything when I am live. And yeah, if you want one of these sessions, make sure you check !coaching, or you check the description of the video. Basically, there's 3 ways of doing these. There is, you could just pay me for a session, or you can request a session with the channel points that you get from watching the stream. If you're a subscriber, then you can basically earn through watching, or you can also leave a comment on one of these sessions. And then at the end of the month, I will draw 2 random winners, and you could be one of those people. Speaking of which, I will be drawing the winners for the November session, because I have not done that yet. So 2 people might get lucky, so keep an eye on your Discord. Make sure you include your Discord name if you want to win. Just say like, oh my god, this is an amazing session, and no lies, okay? Only if you think it is. I would like to win. Include your Discord name, and I'll reach out to you if you want. Yes, so with all that, I thank you guys for watching. Check out one of the other videos. There might be some annotations on the screen right now if I don't forget to put an end screen, and or not. I'm not your dad. Do whatever you want. And I'll see you either on the next video or live over at Twitch. Thank you for checking it out.